This is the best specimen at the moment of is it a wavy-leaved Verbascum or a curly-leaved Verbascum? I'm not sure. But it's a Verbascum. And it can stand hot, dry conditions. It's got sort of curly leaves on it, hasn't it? And, well, it's the nearest thing to a hollyhock in these parts that will stand the heat. There aren't too many plants that can stand the heat if you want that English cottage garden effect in Australia in the dry areas. We're always taught it was part of England, but it's not here. It's too hot and dry to be England. Anyway, these can grow much taller than this. They can grow as tall as a hollyhock if they're watered or if it's a wet summer. I scatter the seeds everywhere. You can't have things like delphiniums or foxgloves or snapdragons or what else? Those sort of things. All those tall spiky things that are really essential for that cottage garden effect. You can't get them without water. Well, I mean, those sort of things you can't grow without water, but there's some things like this Verbascum that can do very well without water. And they get quite tall. And they give that nice hollyhock effect, except they're yellow and the flowers are smaller. Mullen, its relative too, is a Verbascum. And they're quite pretty. This one isn't putting on a good display at the moment because the flowers are closed up and it's, well, yes, I shake the seeds all over the place. That way I can have yellow hollyhocks everywhere, and you know, if it's a nice wet summer or wet autumn or wet spring or whatever. They're nice to have. There's a mullen there. That's a type of Verbascum, and that can get really tall too. Taller than a person. It has yellow flowers, but they're not bright yellow, they're more of a softer yellow colour. But it's a very good one for a dry climate cottage garden too. I think that's Verbascum thapsus, that one. This little Verbascum here has formed seeds already. When they dry out and go black, I'll be breaking them all around the yard. That way I'll have more little yellow hollyhocks. You can see it's quite tall. It's got a few more yellow spikes to come. That'll be nice. It's that hollyhock effect, a dry climate cottage garden. If you want a hollyhock effect, use some Verbascum. And the more you spread around, the more you encourage them, the more you'll have, and the more enchanting your little cottage garden will be. And as you can see, they're nice big spike. And if you water them too, they'll get even taller and spikier. And you might even get two spikes coming up, which is nice. That's a curly-leaved Verbascum. So these little Verbascums, is it a curly-leaved or wavy-leaved Verbascum? They're the nearest thing we have to hollyhocks around these parts that can stand the heat, I mean. They grow wild and they can grow as tall as a person. And they're very hollyhocky, and they're great for that nice spiky feeling that you need for a cottage garden. You can't have an English cottage garden in a climate like this, but you can have something that resembles it. There's the pretty spikes of the Verbascum, yellow Verbascum, curly-leaved Verbascum. Nice hollyhock feeling it gives the gardens. And it's even got a few petals around the base. There's a close-up of the little Verbascum flower. Very pretty. It's not a hollyhock, is it? But it gives a nice impression of something in that direction. Very pretty little thing. And sometimes you can see them really tall and the spikes are completely covered in yellow flowers. But this one is struggling. But after this wet weather we should see more yellow spikes all around the grounds. They're very pretty and lovely. See what I mean? This is just like a hollyhock. It just happened to be here at the right time for me to film. As if it wanted to be on film. It just opened itself up to show us what a Verbascum can be like. Almost as tall as well, it would grow as tall as a hollyhock. But it's a beautiful yellow poor man's hollyhock basically, and it doesn't need very much water at all. Not like a thirsty hollyhock. Lovely cottage garden effect, and yes, drought resistant. Beautiful thing. Lovely. Beautiful spike. Lovely spike for a cottage garden. Pretty flowers, pretty yellow flowers. Isn't it fantastic? And they grow like a wildflower. So you can have your own cottage garden in a dry climate if you choose the right species. Isn't it beautiful? A curly-leafed Verbascum, I think it's called. Lovely weed, a favourite weed of mine. All the wild Verbascums are out today. Aren't they nice? All the wild Verbascums have come out to play. Look out there on the moor. There they are. Those wild Verbascums are doing their thing in the sunshine. Aren't they beautiful? So drought resistant and a beautiful cottage garden flower. Comparable to a hollyhock. I call them poor man's hollyhocks. Hey, poor man's hollyhocks, look at you. There's another one there. Aren't I lucky?